All right, folks. Welcome back to Salt City Counseling. Once again, my name's Scott Carter, and I am a licensed therapist here in Utah. I'm not loving Utah right now. Summer always does this to me. I was actually talking to a couple of people that just moved here from Manhattan, New York. This is just the other day. They love it here, and it was nice. It was refreshing, and I was like, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it's not so bad. So, I'm in this video, I'm going to continue to talk about trauma, and I'm going to talk about some false beliefs that people have about themselves when it comes to trauma. I'm going to get into a little bit why people have some of these false beliefs, why certain therapists have a tendency to reinforce these false beliefs, um, why the industry as a whole, the therapy industry as a whole, is a little bit broken and supports these ideas. And then I'm going to get into this is where I want, and this is where I really want the focus to stay. Okay, is things to replace those negative beliefs with. Okay, things to substitute, attitudes, beliefs, and things where you should really put your energy, really put your focus. Try to keep in mind, my friends, that like wherever you put your energy, wherever you put your focus, that's what will expand. That's what will grow. You have to be really, really careful where you put your energy. And this is one of the things that I feel like regular therapy is terrible at, is that like, well, when it comes to trauma, and let's say that there was, maybe someone had several years of ongoing trauma as a child, and by talking about it over and over and over again, we reinforce these negative beliefs. We reinforce this identity wrapped up in these events. And how are they supposed to heal? How are they supposed to get better when all we do is just pour cement into this, right? So I'm in the camp here. I'm in the camp of like, therapists are terrible at treating trauma. And unfortunately, no, people don't know where else to go. But I am going to spend some time in this video. Watch all the way to the end, because I'm going to spend some time giving you some things to replace this with. Where to put your focus, where to put your energy, and actions that you can take to reinforce these new beliefs, these new or these attitudes that are going to help you heal, actually heal. I do take the stance that you can put trauma behind you, but I'm going to get into that. Actually. Let me get some housekeeping out of the way first. If you're new here, please subscribe. Help me grow my channel. If you have a viewer question about mental health in general, scottsc@saltcitycounseling.com, or you can put a question in the comment section below. I've got some new projects in front of me that I'm excited about. I'm really looking forward to practicing in a way and working in such a way that is a lot more true to my own personal values. Again, to me, this is just like one of those basic examples, right? Is that here I am in the mental health industry. The mental health industry does not regard something like trauma as something that you can overcome. So I either have to adjust my values to align with that, or I can go rogue, man, which I'm choosing to do. I'm going to pretend to drink. I don't actually have any. I drink at all. It's all gone. Delicious. So, let's see, what other housekeeping do I have here? If you're interested in investing in cryptocurrency, click on the link below. Go to Coinbase and sign up. If you invest $100 or more into Coinbase, you'll get an extra $10 in crypto. So if you've always been interested in crypto and maybe thought, I'm not sure if that's for me, crypto's doing really, really well right now, at least at the time of recording it. So, but if you're interested in that, you can use that link to get $10 in free crypto. And hey, who knows? In a few years, $10 in crypto could turn into a lot more than that, a lot more. All right, let's get into these false beliefs, okay? False beliefs, messages, and things that I notice a lot with people who have trauma, okay? Number one, this idea, notion, or this attitude that the self is flawed, defective, or I hear them say, I'm just screwed up. And I don't think that's fair, because what I notice is that people feel like, or they talk like they're just defective and it's their fault. It's almost this stance of like, it's my fault that I'm this way. And I make the argument, man, that if you took your car to a demolition derby you wouldn't be like, wow, that factory sure screwed up. This car's defective, right? I want a replacement car, right? It's like, well, and sort of the replacement here is like life kind of beats you up a little bit, and that's true, but don't talk like it's necessarily your fault, right? So this idea of like I'm flawed, I'm defective, I'm screwed up, like I've noticed with some of them where it's like here's everybody else and here's me over here, right? Everybody's in this circle of like sort of normal, and then there's me, an outsider, someone who's screwed up and defective. Okay. Number two, believe. I already mentioned it. That they can't get better. That they can't overcome. That trauma is just something that they're just going to have to manage perpetually. It's just trauma is going to be ever present in their life. And again, I personally don't agree. I don't. And I think that this nonsense, frankly, I already mentioned this in a different video, the one I just recorded before this one. I feel like this is perpetuated by maybe Big Pharma. Like, no, you can't get better. Just take the pills. Rest of your life, you know? And this is one of my biggest gripes about the medical umbrella in general. They don't treat you like you're well or like you're getting well. They always treat you like you're sick. You're always treated like a specimen. Even as I'm like kind of making some content and building a new website and all this, and I search for images and stock photos on therapy, and there's just pictures of people like shamefully sitting on the couch in their therapy session. It's like therapy doesn't have to be that way. But my point is I disagree. But I think that if people have trauma and the professionals, the medical professionals and Big Pharma are like, no, you can't get better. You just have to deal with it the rest of your life. Then you won't. Like, people will live up according to the limitations that the so-called experts place onto them. Okay, number three is that they are small, weak, and powerless. Okay, and so what I notice is that a lot of people with trauma, they have a tendency to physically and mentally and emotionally sort of like turtle. You know what I mean? Like sort of just scrunch down and become small and unnoticeable and like a mouse and not move and stay in one place. And so they feel small. They see themselves as small. They see themselves as weak, and they see themselves as powerless. One of the problems with trauma is it renders you in an emotional and mental state of attitude that like you could do everything right and horrible things are still going to happen to you. And I'm going to refute that idea as well. So let's talk about what you can replace it with here, okay? First of all, I'm just reading my notes. I'm the result of circumstances outside of my control, and I choose to take control. Like if you were a child and you were like assaulted as a child, there were probably circumstances outside of your control, things that you could not influence or have that control over. And so if you take this belief going forward through life, you're going to put in less effort in managing your circumstances, who you associate with, where you place yourself, those types of things, right? Like if you've had a history of trauma, you may want to stay away from dangerous places, for example. Because if you're re-traumatized, if something happens, if something negative and bad happens, it's just going to reinforce that trauma, okay? So I choose to take control. Number two, I can put this behind me, and I really believe that you can. And it's going to take some doing. I'm not going to lie. It's going to take some doing, and it's hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's hard, but it's definitely worth it. But I believe fully that a person can put trauma behind them. Okay? Number three, I am learning. I am growing. I'm becoming stronger. I am resilient. Okay? And this is a replacement belief for being weak, powerless, and small. Okay? And instead, it's like, I'm learning. I'm going to get this figured out. Right? Like a lot of people don't walk out the front door and have horrible things happen to them. And what are they doing that I can emulate? What can I do to make myself bigger, stronger, and more powerful? Okay, so some of the easy things that you can do is, when I say easy, I know that it's all relative. Sometimes people with trauma, getting out of bed isn't easy, right? Sometimes just taking a shower or getting yourself fed properly during the day is hard. So let me rephrase. Simple, okay? Things like physical movement, okay? Expanding your talents. If you're good at painting, then paint. If you're good at writing, then write. Okay? There's lots of examples of this, and I could do a whole other video on it. But there's tons of examples, right? To me, if you have trauma, you should like take martial arts. Taking martial arts is one of those things that you can do to give yourself a greater sense of freedom, a greater sense of power, and a greater sense of control. Okay, and it's just going to empower you so that you don't feel so weak and so small. Okay, but my biggest tip here, if you're like thinking like I want to overcome this, okay, my biggest tip here, I talk about this all the time, and I'm going to be talking about it more on my new platform to come here, is meditation. Okay, your consciousness has different pieces, right? Your ego is often what causes all of these issues in the first place. This frantic mind, or what keeps you stuck in those, right? And it's like, okay, well, now we need to solve this. Well, let's ask the ego. And as Albert Einstein said, you can't solve a problem with the same mindset that created that problem or perpetuates that problem. You have to come at this from a different place of consciousness. So that's why I'm a really big fan of meditation and mindfulness, okay? So those are basically, I mean, that's just a quick rundown. Make sure that you subscribe if you want more of this content. Be sure to stay tuned for some things that I'm excited about here in the near future. But those are basically my 3 false beliefs and the 3 replacements for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.